What's good, King Ganda? It's your boy O'Shea Dick Jackson, back at it again here with a special interview. You guys know that this is one of the more powerful brothers, even though he's from the South Sacramento, it's not his fault.
South Side, 21st and Florence.
One of the most powerful brothers in the diaspora and content creator game. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yo, what's good? It's Prince Dinos, Amir, O'Shea. Thank you so much for having me. And I've been on this journey. Oh, let me scoot over to the side. So there we go. I've been on this journey as far as building a bridge between the diaspora and Africa since 2011. And I have a platform called A Search for Uhuru, which serves as a catalyst to do that, or a platform to facilitate that, the bridge.
All right, and give him a round of applause, editors. And what I said, this is the brother that influenced me to take my first trip to Africa. I was in a whole different space at the time that we started collaborating about the continent. And he was really influential, and because of him, I've been able to do great things. And because of him, others have come here, and as African Americans have been inspired too. So he was one of the first people to do it when it wasn't popular.
Right.
So that's one of the things that we have to give the brothers flowers, because he was doing it before there was hype going to Ghana. There was hype. Like, he was really getting it in a long time ago. So, Brother Dinos, you've been having some interesting panels on your show that revolves around this particular idea about some African Americans saying that we built this country, and we've seen some of the things that's going on with the Latino community, especially in Black America, with John Leguizamo. They're coming out saying the same thing now.
Right.
And then recently, you've talked about what's going on in Chicago with the Chicago migrants. Do you want to go ahead and give some context of what's going on right now with some of our brothers and sisters in Chicago?
Well, you get what you vote. You get what you vote for. So President Biden was clear. He said his priorities were going to be the LGBTQ community and the immigrant community. So people in Chicago, or the Black community of Chicago, they are upset that the immigrants are getting preferential treatment over the Black community, and to be specific, the Black homeless community. Because there's another issue, and I noticed this when I was in LA, the homeless situation, especially dealing with Black people all over the nation, it's getting out of control. It's starting to get out of control here in Atlanta. I mean, you sit here a lot in Atlanta. Atlanta's supposed to be the Black Mecca, but I noticed in Los Angeles, I had a program, and I would go on to Skid Row and feed the homeless. It was called Project Peanut Butter and Jelly. So every Sunday we will go to Skid Row and feed the homeless, and everybody on Skid Row looked like me. So there's
some of those people are highly educated too, like Columbia.
O'Shea, smart and bright as hell.
Right.
The whole conversation could talk about anything. I'm having conversations, even though now it sounds like, they're thorough when it comes to nuclear physics. Or they had me fooled. They sound educated. On pretty much every single topic. Now, I don't know if that was the heroin or the drugs talking, but I mean, you'll be surprised in regards to the intellect of a lot of our people who are homeless. It's just, they either have a mental problem, a lot of these mental issues, or which led to a drug issue, and they just can't let it go.
So in Chicago, just like, and I know in Atlanta, there's a popular channel called Atlanta Street Interviews. I don't know if you've seen it here on YouTube, where, a lot of these people were college educated. I've seen people that had like PhD degrees from physics from like Columbia University, and they're homeless. And this is something also happening in a big financial, because Chicago is one of the biggest financial hubs in the country besides LA and New York. And a lot of these blacks are also being replaced. Now, when you're saying replaced by these migrants, what does that actually entail?
You're not being replaced. Me personally, I don't feel like I'm being replaced by anybody. I just think what's happening is, and which I'm sure this is going to lead into our topic. Black people in America, we talk about how we built this country.
Sure.
Right? But that doesn't mean you stop building.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that doesn't mean you still have to show up every day and compete.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying we aren't, but you have other groups of people who are more hungry than you.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you win, you know, it's if you win the national championship or the state championship, you still got to come back and do it next year.
Right.
And there's people who are going to use you as motivation to take your spot.
Exactly. Great point.
And I don't think Black people as a collective understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you still got to get up and compete every single day.
Right.
Like Nipsey Hussle said, it's a marathon.
Right.
That don't stop. So we're celebrating the past and what we've accomplished in the past as far as building a foundation of America. But what does that mean in 2023? Like, what are you doing in 2023?
Right.
And let's speak on Chicago. All right, you're complaining about the immigrant situation, but you know damn near the majority of these Black folks voted Democrat. And your Democratic leader said specifically that immigrants and the LGBTQ community were going to get priority.
That's correct.
So why are you upset? Like, what's the plan about? He told you that.
Right.
So why are you complaining? That's what he told you. And the argument is, well, we have a Black homeless issue here in Chicago as well. And like I said, it's getting out of control all over America.
Right.
But again, your elected leader, that Black people took their booties to the polls. What was the other little stupid video I played the other day that they put out there? It was booties to the polls. And then there was no voting, no voting, no bucket. No voting, no bucket. Without an F with a V. They put these silly ass videos in front of you. You go out of the vote. You don't demand anything in return of your vote.
Right.
And now you're shocked because other communities demanded tangibles in return for their vote.
Let me ask you about these other communities, because now, I mean, we're both from Sacramento, California, and I know like you also lived in Los Angeles. I'm actually initially from Los Angeles. I've seen Mexicans in particular, and Latino community is very diverse, just like the Black community can be, if we include some of the burgeoning Blacks coming in, the new Blacks, the Nigerian Americans and Canadian Americans. But I remember when Hispanics would be selling fruit on the freeway.
Right. Oh shit, I'm gonna cut you off.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I in Sacramento on the south side, I think that's Fruit Ridge. Fruit Ridge right before when you cross over. I'm sorry, that's MLK. When you cross over, I think Fruit Ridge to get on. I think that's 99. There used to be, when I was growing up, there used to be a Hispanic couple selling fruit off the freeway, and we used to laugh at them. Now, in South Sacramento off of Florin Road, Florin and 24th, where I grew up, there used to be a jumbo supermarket there. Now it's a Mexican or Hispanic grocery store. So in the course of 15 years, well, let's see here, we'll say 15, 20 years, the Hispanic community went from selling fruit on the side of a freeway.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Now owning the grocery stores.
Right.
And what are Black people doing? Talking about how we built this country 300 years ago. What does that have to do with in 2023?
And to your point, I can remember the what was that fight? The Felix Trinidad versus Oscar De La Hoya. I think it happened in 1999 at Mandalay Bay, where Mexicans and Puerto Ricans were quite hostile toward each other. If I can remember that fight, they don't like each other, just like Dominicans and Mexicans typically do not like each other. Well, what you've seen now is it's no longer the Mexican community, it's the Latino community.
Latino
and
X.
Now,
Latino X.
There you go. So you didn't see that like 25 years ago. You saw these communities operating particularly independent of each other. Ecuadorians, but now you're seeing like the Portuguese speaking communities are now aligning themselves with some of the same issues as the, like the Brazilians, to be exact, with
Right.
with Hispanics, and then now you see the blacks, and I would include Caribbeans in our community, would be Nigerian Americans, African Americans, and we are not trying to come together as a block like these other people.
Right.
And at the same time, I see a lot of blacks, and I'm not trying to begrudge our particular group, because we know we have brothers and sisters in our group that feel differently than us, because they don't have our experience coming to Africa, living in Africa, and seeing what the opportunity is. So a lot of times when we speak to them about these things that they don't know anything about, they can't understand it or what it's about.
Right.
But now, when you're talking to the some of the African American brothers and sisters about trying to unite with Africa, brothers are hostile to that, and sisters are hostile to that. Why do you feel that?
I shared this story the other day.
Okay.
So I went to Africa for the first time in 2011. I went to Tanzania.
Sure.
It was going back and forth every year. Every December, when I got my vacation time at corporate America, I would go to Africa. I think 2013 or 2014 is when Mike Brown was killed. One of those years. And of course, here was, they trying to kill us. The race soldiers. The white man's trying to kill the black man. The race soldiers, they've been killing us for 400 years. 400 years. They've been killing us. They trying to take us out. So I said, you know what, listen. I just got back from Africa. I'm not saying it's perfect, but everybody looks like you, and I didn't experience any racism. Again, I'm not saying it's perfect. Would you consider just taking a look at Africa and exploring opportunities? You do not understand, O'Shea, the pushback I got. Like, like they were offended. How dare you?
Right.
How dare you?
Right.
Bring up Africa as an option.
Right. Why do you think that is?
It's self-hate. We can't see, in 2023, we can't blame the media in regards to the images they put out there on Africa. You gotta be, we have smartphones now. If you're smart, you use it as a smartphone. If you're looking at junk, it's a dumb phone. You have the information right here to educate yourself on what's really going on. But we continue to use 1970s and 1980s stereotypes of propaganda from the media to justify not going to Africa in 2023. And this is primarily black people. Now, you can't blame the white man. You can't blame the white man for the images in 2023. This is black people who are still using 1970s, 1980s propaganda to justify not going in 2023. You're complaining about the racist system, so-called, here in America. You're saying, hey, how about consider options outside of America? You get offended.
Okay.
It's ignorance. And the thing about, and the reason, and it is ignorance, and we can't blame the media because a lot of us, when I bring up that option, even to this day, is like, we're proud and we bask not wanting to go to Africa, not wanting to connect with the continent, not wanting to seek opportunities on the continent. It's like, oh, that place, I ain't going over there. And it's like you say with such pride. Like, it's weird. Then you want to complain about the system over here.
Let me ask you this.
Complain about, the Latinos in Chicago when you vote a Democrat.
Okay.
I don't know, O'Shea.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're in Atlanta, which is not just African American dominated. I mean, sure, it is mostly for blacks, but there are a lot of other groups that are the black, Nigerian Americans, to be exact. But Ivorians has a good community. Liberian, Sierra Leoneans. So let's just leave it in America then. For some of the brothers and sisters may not be interested in Africa, but what is stopping us as a Black bloc to say, okay, look, we don't have $2.8 trillion right now, but we have the capacity to make that better if we were to do, and shout out to platforms like Earn Your Leisure. You've heard of them before?
Yeah.
Yeah, Earn Your Leisure, man. They have, one thing I like about them, they deal with a lot of African Americans, but they're also dealing with anybody who's good that's Black.
Right.
So whether they're Nigerian American, they have the brother from Afro Cello in Ghana, they get it.
I gotta watch that episode with Afro Cello.
Yeah, they get it. They're not limiting themselves to just, okay, the African American community. They've even been to Nigeria interviewing DeVito. They get it. They understand the power of the block, and that's why they're excelling. They're not discriminating against other Blacks. But now, in Earn Your Leisure, it's a foolproof. It works. They're having big events. They got Robert Smith coming out there in Atlanta. I'm pretty sure they're making a ton of money with the courses they sell and the things they have. They get it as a block. They're showing that it can be done. Why don't you think, what's the issue with us using the Earn Your Leisure method to just work with other Blacks, even if we're not going to come back to Africa, but those of us in the African American community, the entrepreneur community, what's wrong with working with the other brothers that's in the community in between America and Canada? What's wrong with, why do we have issues even working with Blacks inside of America?
I think it's trust issues.
Okay.
But as far as Blacks here in America working with other groups of Black people who aren't necessarily from America, I think we work together. I don't think that's a problem. I think Black, when it comes to getting the bag, I think,
okay,
if you have a Black American, you have a Nigerian businessman or a businessman from the Caribbean, I've never really seen or heard a Black American say, oh, I'm not doing business with that Caribbean, or if they're doing right sound business.
Okay, but can it be better?
Oh, of course it could be better.
Okay.
Do you think across the board, it could be better?
Okay,
period.
So what I'm asking you is this. Do you think that, in your honest opinion, how do you feel about the way you see Blacks in Atlanta interact with one another in comparisons to what you see the Latino community doing? And I'm talking about not just Hispanics or Mexicans. I'm talking about how the Hispanics are all coming together and kind of, creating that big market. Like, if we get the Africa Free Trade Agreement coming, this is over. For the most, we have a really good opportunity with African free trade in the diaspora. But do you see our groups interacting with each other as you see the Latino community doing? And if so, why not?
I don't. And the reason why I say that, so, here in Atlanta, in the suburbs of Atlanta, you have Buford Highway.
Okay.
In Buford Highway, you have a large Hispanic community, Asian community, pretty much the immigrant communities, they gravitate to Buford Highway. So if I'm Latino, when I get up in the morning, I need to get groceries. I got my Latino grocery store.
Great point.
There's no Black grocery store. In fact, I take that back. I know one Black-owned grocery store here in Atlanta was in Riverdale. A Jamaican brother owns it. That's the only one I know. That's the actual full-fledged grocery store that could compete with like Ralph's and Kroger.
Okay.
Like a grocery store.
Okay.
But here in Atlanta, if I'm Japanese, I'm Chinese, I'm Asian, I got grocery stores. I could go.
Okay. Right.
If I'm Latino, I got my Latino grocery store.
Okay.
I get everything. Only thing I can't get with these other groups, the only thing that I'm sure they cannot get within a community is maybe gas, because the East Indian community pretty much dominates that industry.
Okay.
Here in the Black community, if I got to get my gas, I got to go to the East Indians. I want to get my hair, beauty supply products, my hair supply products, my hair products. Koreans control that. Grocery store, I got to go to Kroger. Only thing I could get here in the Black community here in America consistently is a haircut from the barbershop.
Okay.
They got I can get my my butters and my incense and my soaps for people that look like me.
Okay.
And I think there's some black owned auto dealerships.
Okay. But let me say
restaurants.
Restaurants. Okay. So typical and in Atlanta, you would expect more diversification of what you can get from African Americans or blacks, because simply Atlanta is what they call chocolate city. So you would expect to see something different than what you would see, and I'm pretty sure culturally it is in Sacramento or LA. But what you're saying is that you can't circulate this money through the black, and we're talking about the black community, that is including of Africans, African Americans, Jamaicans, Caribbeans. We have no real ability to circulate that money through real necessities and goods and services that we actually need. Is that what you're saying?
And O'Shea, let me step back for a second. All of the black-owned grocery stores here in Atlanta are all owned by black foreigners. So I know there's a couple African grocery stores in Riverdale. Mm-hmm. In fact, they're all in Riverdale. That for the most part, the grocery stores, but they're not owned by, I guess, what you consider FBA ADOS. They're all owned by black immigrants.
Okay. And those grocery stores are selling, I would assume, is it largely African-based food, things like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Except for the one, like the full-fledged grocery store that's in Riverdale, that's owned by the Jamaican guy. That's a grocery store where like Kroger.
Okay. And so really what you're saying is the problem that we have in Black America in comparison to the Latino communities, that even with the spending power we have no ability to keep that money circulated in to create more value for the base, to create more wealth for the base, to create more jobs for the base. And that money is still leaving outside of the communities, although we are making a lot of money individually. We have no real way of circulating that as a block.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So now let me just ask you this, because somebody's going to say, "Oh, Brother Dinos, listen, you are in Atlanta, right?
Right.
You're in probably one of the most skilled cities for African Americans in the United States."
Correct.
So if African Americans and blacks in the United States with all that spending power can't get it right, with that particular mindset, with college loans and banking systems and Wi-Fi and goods and services and power not going out, what makes you believe that these particular people, if they were to go to any African country, could get it right?
They'll be forced to get it right.
Okay. What do you mean when you say that?
So, like, for example, in Senegal, for the most part, everything is dominated by Senegalese. I would say the only countries that I've been to where I would say non-Africans somewhat control certain industries that I would have to do business with them to get certain products and goods would be like Liberia. You know, you have a very large Lebanese community. Somewhat Sierra Leone, but not really. And even if you step back, even you can't really say Liberia, because if I wanted to get all my groceries, I could go to the market. It's all black people.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. But if I wanted to go to be bougie and go to a grocery store, then it'll be the Lebanese who control the grocery store. Okay. If I wanted to go just to the market, I could get all my proteins, vegetables, fruits, everything from the local community, from black people. Right. So Africa is the African countries I've been to, everything top to bottom, from my gas to my foods to my snacks. For example, when I'm in Nigeria, I get hungry. When I'm in Oshogbo at my friend's house, there's a lady right around the corner who has like a convenience store connected to her house, and I could go get my snacks, my juices, soda, whatever I want to get. I can't do that here in the black community here in America. I can't walk around the corner and go to a black-owned spot and get all my snacks. I can do that in Africa. My gas, gas stations are owned by us. Okay. I want to get my clothes, get my custom kaftans, my fabrics, everything. People look like me. The tailors gonna look like me. Everyone's gonna look like me. I can't do that in Atlanta. So the black community in America, if they move to Africa, they're gonna be forced, for the most part, to have to do business within our community. Because all you're gonna see is people like me and you. Now, if they want to go out of their way and like say, hey, I don't want to go get my food from the market, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, then yeah, you're gonna be dealing with non-black people. But for the most part, you can circulate your money within the Black community in Africa and get everything you need, from your clothes to your food, everything within the community.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're going to have a person saying, well, listen, Dinos, that's going to help, how does that help the diaspora as far as African-Americans coming to Sierra Leone, which, I mean, obviously you have some great tours going there. How would that benefit us as Black people, as a group in the United States, even though we're spending money in Africa, but what is the positive feedback loop for our group?
What do you mean? Like if you were to move to Sierra Leone?
Yeah, let's say, for example, okay, because people will want to know. All right, so if African Americans, because obviously some will stay in America, obviously, for sure. But those of us who are moving to Sierra Leone, and I get that we're going to be supporting their businesses, but as a group of us, as individuals in the diaspora, what is that incentive for us?
I mean, my personal opinion, when Black Americans move to Africa, you're going to get absorbed into the local community. And then after one generation, I mean, the Black America is not going to exist, because the majority of us are going to marry into the local communities that we move to in Africa. So you're going to get absorbed into it. So after one generation, your children is going to be Black American / Ugandan or Yoruba or Igbo or Nigerian or Mende or whatever you want to say it. Then after that is done. So my focus when I go to Africa, I don't really come over, I'm a Black American, even though I stand out and I'm a Black American.
Sure.
Because I know eventually I'm just going to be absorbed by the local community.
And let me just say this and add to that. What I figured out being here in Uganda, it has allowed me to amplify, the businesses being here as a base. And what it's allowed me to do, when we do have profits, it allows us to, number one, reinvest here, and also allows us to build a platform to be able to promote other people in the diaspora and to be able to collaborate and build even stronger networks with profits and things like that.
Right.
And so and then when you come to places, what happens is, like, for example, with the, when you started to get me to come to Africa, when I came here, the experience of, and I'll start seeing these podcasts pop up, you start seeing like Fresh and Fit, there's Earn Your Leisure, but there was not a podcast for the diaspora. And that's why I came up with the Repat podcast. And what I've discovered, like, okay, I may not be understanding the local markets right now, but I can add X, Y, and Z. And because of that development, we now have a greater opportunity that maybe somebody that was formed here in Uganda wouldn't be able to see. And so as African Americans do good in Africa, you're gonna see more development and collaboration as African Americans coming, that money's going back there. And then you're gonna see hopefully more partnerships, in which I do believe that's happening with African Americans and Sierra Leoneans or whoever you're going. Right. And then all that is a positive feedback loop, because they're going to bring things to the game that we don't see. We're going to do things to the game that they don't see. And like I said, I went to a big fashion show in December. It was the first one I've ever been to, a red carpet fashion show. I was like, wow, it would have been great if we had some African American brands that could have showcased yourself to get a bigger market here, or vice versa there. And you see it all the time, like some of the Uganda celebrities, they always get invited from their diaspora to come perform. Like in London, they get them visas, they get money to do things there. Now, wouldn't that be great if we can do it? I mean, there's a big Africa Day program, I believe, now in Los Angeles. What is it called now? It's every May 25th. But we have a bigger opportunity to solve these problems and unite Africa as we're solving issues. As the Americans are coming in, they're going to see things differently.
Right.
So I think that, even if you did want to marry African or still that African American, the thing is this: you're going to get more collaboration. And typically more positive collaboration ends up more money. Because one thing I've noticed is a lot of Blacks in America, we don't need each other. And like for example, unless we're gonna go to the club and some brothers and sisters, they want to have sex or whatever, we don't need each other. When you come to Africa, you have to work together. It's almost, it's a must. You have no choice.
You're gonna be forced to.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish that the mindset that I have now, if I would have had that mindset in America, work with the Black community, I think I'd be much more further in my life. Mm-hmm. And all the stuff I went to school for and being educated for, with that mindset I had prior, I would have just been like a highly paid employee, a very skilled doctor because I went to medical school. But now coming here with the mindset of thinking with a Black mind, you're going to get that here. It's going to be hard and difficult, but you're going to get that.
Right.
And Black people don't need each other in the United States, or they at least have the delusion that they don't need, or illusion that they don't need each other. But when you come to Africa, you're working with what you got. Like literally, you have to get it right years and years, and then you start seeing progress. And that's what every other group does. And what I think is going to happen is, like, for example, you can't participate in agriculture in the United States for the most part, but in Africa, you can participate in that. So right. It's a great wealth building tool. And you have the opportunity to take some of that money back to America. And if you want to gift it to somebody in HBCU, you can do that. You can send Sierra Leonean students to HBCUs, and you can bring HBCU graduates back to Africa and create industries and specializations and skills.
Right.
That's the feedback loop that can happen if we really think about that. And then the more educated and skilled people you have, the quicker you can develop in both communities. Mm-hmm. So that's what I see happening, and I'm a living witness of that of myself. That I wish I would have started working with black people earlier in my life. I would be so much further along, but I was thinking like, I need to get away from these dudes. Tired of living it. I'm serious. I need to get away from the heights. I need to get move to.
Yeah, you gotta get the heights. Yeah, you definitely gotta get away from the heights.
You mad? But that mentality, brother. After working with you and seeing some of the things that you've been able to do, and look at the opportunities, how you increased your ability to move around. Man, you left corporate America. You stuck with it, man. How many people can do that?
Hey, listen, it's not easy, O'Shea.
Yeah, I know you're doing pretty good too.
Yeah, but it's not easy. Trust me.
I know it's not easy.
It's not easy.
But it can be done, right?
It definitely can be done.
Do you like your life now better now, or you like it before?
Absolutely, and wouldn't change it. Wouldn't go back. Wouldn't go back. Even with the security net that I had, the safety net that I had with corporate America, would not go back at all.
Do you feel that for those people who don't know about, like, let's say they never came to Africa before, or any country in Africa, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, places like that, how do they get themselves ready? What would you, if they want to make the trip or actually live here, what advice would you as somebody give to a person that's thinking about coming and the mentality they need to have?
I would say this: I would build with the diaspora that's in their local community. If you're thinking about going to Ghana, connect with the Ghanaians in your local community first, and build that relationship. So when you go, you'll have a softer landing. Because the minute you tell any African in your local community here in America that you're interested in visiting their country, they're going to make sure that you are taken care of. So I would start there. Start with the diaspora in your local community first. Okay.
And as far as, I know you're biased, you're promoting tours in, I believe now, Tanzania, Sierra Leone, and Nigeria. Which of those countries do you feel that if a person was to has probably the best opportunity for repatriation and doing very well?
I would say right now Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone is the only country where if you could trace your DNA via African ancestry and it links back to Sierra Leone, you're eligible for citizenship. I mean, it's the only country right now it's straightforward, cut and dry. So I would say Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone, okay. Any information you want to provide about those particular tour dates or?
Yeah, go to visit Danfo.Africa. Visit Danfo.Africa. I just took a group to Sierra Leone this past we got back a couple weeks ago, and they got their Sierra Leone citizenship. So currently, the swearing in ceremony is twice a year. Every April and every November. There's an election in Sierra Leone next month. So we'll see how that plays out and how it'll affect if there's going to be a swearing in ceremony, citizenship confirmation in November 2023. So, because if for some reason President Biya loses and there's a new president, he might not continue the initiative. So, we'll find out here in about a month and a half who wins. I think the election is like June 20th. Okay. So we'll find out. And if Biya wins, I'm 99.99% sure that there'll be another ceremony in November. And if there is, go to Danfo.Africa, send me an email, follow me on social media. I'll be posting the updates to let people know, like, hey, it's on and cracking for November. Come get your passports.
All right, and brother, I definitely thank you. I have a flight to catch in about 40. I need to be out here about 30 minutes. But brother, you've really been. I want to give you. I know I tease you, bro. I want to give you your flowers.
I appreciate it
for being a brother that has been really sticking to. I know that your path has not been easy, because my path has not been easy. You've been doing it longer than me, but you've really inspired so many brothers and sisters to take that leap of faith. Me being one of them. And I always want to give you your credit for helping me change my life. I mean, I was a person that was at one point, man, I was a very even African. I had some really harsh things to say before because of the little, Nigerian and African-American beef that used to go on. But man, just changing my mindset after coming here and visiting and seeing the opportunities that I have I've met some amazing people in Africa and then in the diaspora. And I know that being an African-American and just living in that, Black, white world, and not looking at the opportunities to do things with the Black community worldwide, man, I would not be where I am today, man. And because of you and me thinking like that, I was already doing all right with YouTube, but I don't have to punch a clock anymore at all. And I have my studio here, and we're just getting better by the day. And I've really seen just investing in your people is how you catch up. Investing into your system is how you catch up. And a lot of Blacks don't have to do that because they work a job, which nothing's wrong with that, or you don't need the people in your community. But if you start working with people in your community, you'd be surprised of there's a bank called Equity Bank. I don't know if you heard of this bank before. It's a Kenyan bank.
Okay.
But they started from a circle of people that just pulled their money together every month. Now it's probably the biggest and best bank in East Africa.
Wow.
And those things are available, man. People do it all the time. And you just see people coming together with the goal that they're trying to achieve. They develop agricultural projects, they develop real estate projects, they do all kinds of stuff, man. And people have had their lives changed just by working together with other Blacks. And it's nothing better than that, just being able to live in Africa. When I first talked to you, I was wanting to visit, but to be able to say that I'm interviewing you from Uganda, right, and living a great life because of your influence. I mean, I cannot ever thank you, and also won't admire enough for just opening the door for brothers like me to come in and now able to change my life, my mother's life. We moved up the heights finally. So, but any last words you want to say, brother?
No, man, just appreciate you. Thank you for letting me come on, and I'm proud of you. And listen, if you're watching this and if you're, on the fence in regards to traveling to Africa, man, make that go visit. Go visit. Go pick a country and go. Pick a country and go.
Okay, and the website is?
Danfo, DANFO .Africa.
DA what, I'm sorry?
DANFO .Africa.
Okay, .Africa. All right. So make sure the editors get that there. And Brother Dinos, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys later.
I appreciate you, brother. Peace.
All right. How you doing?